Hello, I'm Nilanjan Ghosh from the Levine Cancer Institute in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'll be discussing the results of the phase 1b/2 study of mosunetuzumab with polatuzumab vedotin for relapsed refractory B-cell non-Hodgkin lymphoma. Mosunetuzumab is a full-length humanized IgG1 bispecific antibody targeting CD20 and CD3, and polatuzumab is a CD79B antibody drug conjugate. And the combination of these two drugs in a mouse xenograft model showed synergistic anti-lymphoma activity. And that was the preclinical data which led to development of this combination in humans. And I'm going to present the results of the phase 1 part of the study with 22 patients. And the design of the study was such that patients who enrolled on the study got step-up dosing of mosunetuzumab, starting from cycle 1, day 1, then day 8, then day 15, and then from cycle 2, it was on day 1 of each cycle. The duration of mosunetuzumab was based on the response rate. So if someone got a complete response, then mosunetuzumab stopped at 8 cycles. And if someone was in a partial response or stable disease, it was continued up to 17 cycles. Polatuzumab was given on cycle 1, started on cycle 1, day 1, and continued for 6 cycles on day 1 of every cycle. And the patients who enrolled in this study were mostly aggressive lymphoma patients, such as de novo diffuse large B-cell lymphoma, diffuse large cell lymphoma, transformed from indolent lymphoma like follicular lymphoma, or follicular lymphoma grade 3B. But we also included some patients with low-grade follicular lymphoma, and that there were actually 3 patients in this cohort with low-grade follicular lymphoma. So the patient population was actually had significant refractory disease. There were 82% of patients were refractory to their last prior therapy, and 91% of patients were refractory to the last CD20, anti-CD20 therapy. And the median number of therapies for this patient population was 3. So, and the median age was 70. In terms of adverse events, the side effect profile was very manageable. There were 50% of patients had grade 3 or 4 adverse events related to study treatment. There were no patients who had to completely discontinue the study because of adverse event. In terms of adverse events of special interest, knowing that this is a bispecific antibody, include mosunetuzumab, we looked at CRS incidence, and this was very low at only 9.1%. So there were only 2 patients who had CRS, and these were grade 1 events. So there was no grade 2 or higher CRS, and the median time to onset of CRS was 2 days. The patients who developed these CRS, the events resolved without the use of tocilizumab, without the use of vasopressors, and they did not need any admission to the intensive care unit. Importantly, there were no immune effector cell-associated neurotoxicity events. So, that was a very favorable safety profile for these patients. Other side effects which were notable included peripheral neuropathy, neutropenia, fatigue, and diarrhea was seen in some patients. These were as expected based on the individual side effect profiles of the drugs. In terms of efficacy, this is a very effective combination. And as I discussed, this is a heavily pretreated population with refractory disease in majority of patients. When we look at responses for all patients, the best overall response rate was 68%, and the complete response rate was 55%. And when we look at the bulk of the patients, that is with aggressive non-Hodgkin lymphoma, the overall response rate was 63%, and the complete response rate was 47%. We did include post-CAR T patients in the study, and there were in the post-CAR T population, the overall response rate was 57%, and the complete response rate was 29%. And in follicular lymphoma, there were only 3 patients, but all 3 of them achieved a complete response. Uh, what we saw was very interestingly and very favorable is that there were patients who had durable complete responses, and these durable complete responses are ongoing even after stopping study drug treatments. So that is something which is very favorable, knowing that this is a very refractory population. Most patients were refractory to the last prior therapy, and now after this treatment, we're seeing a very high rate of these complete responses. So the median duration of follow-up for this study is only 13.5 months, and all CRs with one exception is ongoing as of study cutoff date. So based on these, we also looked at some correlative data, looking at T cell activation, and that was noted as well by interferon gamma production, as well as T cell activation markers. So in general, to summarize, this is a very effective combination with a high complete response rate, durable complete responses, a low toxicity in terms of CRS, low grade CRS, patients not needing, vasopressors or ICU admission or tocilizumab for the management of the low grade CRS. Some nice correlative science with showing activation of T cell markers as well. With this high efficacy and low toxicity in terms of immune based toxicities as well, this I think has a high is very promising treatment in B cell non-Hodgkin lymphoma, and we will need longer follow-up with more patients. Obviously, we have a small patient population here, and the data is early, but very promising data. So thank you very much.